Is there?
Okay.
Recording in progress.
All right. So I'm going to make you the host. Make host. Okay. So now when you go to your screen,
Time for your Andy. Okay, I'm on my screen.
okay, perfect.
So this is me up here. We're still on.
And then you can share and do, yeah, just mute for now.
It's my there we go. All right, 12 o'clock. We're gonna give this a couple minutes and let people get in. It's set to 7.
It is a little bit big one. We're not kicking it on.
And the lot of it will also. Oh, that was. I brought it home. Sorry. Right.
I'll make sure sound works.
Yeah.
Sound works.
I can hear you. Are you muted? All right, great. I'm gonna at least get this share started here. Do all this come on. There we go. Am I still, can you still see me in it too? Okay, cool. All right, are we ready to get started? All right, awesome. Well, hello there. My name is Matt Lamb. Today I'm hosting the Educating the Agent, talking about how to get listings right now. And what's interesting about this is, I don't know if any of you worked for me before, but if you have, you've probably worked with me on the buy side of the deal. As many of you know, I'm not from here originally. I started my career here. I started working with buyers. But the funny thing about buyers is they become sellers. So if you stay on top of them, eventually that business will come back around. Now that I've been here about 6 years, I'm starting to see that the buyers that I've started working with when I first came here are all starting to turn around now. And I'm actually starting to see it happens quicker than you think. And so the best way to make sure that you're staying in front of these buyers is by adding value, reaching out and doing what we're talking about today called Easy CMA. As I've been here in St. Louis, I've sold maybe 240 homes. And a lot of the success to my business, I really attribute to my relationships with my clients during the transaction and the relationship that I keep with the clients after the transaction, right? And it's great to be friends with them. We're all friends with our clients. And if you're not, you're probably not be as successful with retaining them as clients or having them as repeat clients, but they still need to get value out of you. So we're going to talk about that today with the Easy CMA. So let's get started here. So as I said, I've been an agent actually since 2008, started my career in Milwaukee, started as an assistant to a top agent, learned a lot about the different things of the transaction, which then when I came here became a buyer's agent. After doing that for several years, then I kind of switched gears and decided to take on listings, buyers, and most of it. And a lot of that has to do with the strategies that I'm going to talk about today with the Easy CMA. So first of all, market update. As many of you guys know, the market is very robust right now. It's very interesting. It's a very, very low inventory market. Homes that are priced correctly, prepped for sale, good location, they're going to sell and they're going to sell with multiple offers. The market's down about 30% overall in units. So what we're seeing is units are down, so the demand is up. We have the same amount of buyers, maybe a little bit less, as we did last year when we had this really dynamic market. And what I've seen anecdotally from the market is interest rates went up, buyers left the market. And there was a period between about September through December where it was pretty quiet. There wasn't a lot of buyer activity. We weren't seeing as many multiple offer situations. There were some opportunities in the market. And for me, that was a really great time to start reaching out to people that maybe I lost track of and get their business going. But it also was a good time because it's a little bit slower for me to implement this Easy CMA strategy that we're going to talk about today. Then what happened is in January, the rates went down just a little bit. And all of the buyers that had left the market last spring and summer, all decide to get back in. They're like, oh, rates went down to 5.5%. Great. Hey, let's get back in. Let's start the search again. And then what happened? The rates went up. And what did the buyers say? Don't care. Don't care. They're totally immune to the interest rates. They do not care. It does not change the appetite for purchasing homes. It does not change the interest in homes. And what I'm seeing on a week-to-week basis is it's almost escalating. The buyers that I have, one week they write a good offer and they get beat out. And what do? We escalate next week. We write a better offer and then a better offer. And eventually the house goes under contract. We get something under contract. Well, that's what all the other buyers are doing in the market right now too. They're all escalating. And that's why we're seeing that there might be 5 or more offers on a house, but there's always going to be one that just really, really stands out. It's very rare. Maybe there's 1 or 2. But they're going to be kind of the people that are just kind of getting their feet wet, kind of the people that are uncertain. But then there's the grizzled vets that just, they don't care anymore. And they're just like, we want a house. You tell me what we need to do. And that's what we do. So that on a high or on a kind of a bird's eye view is what I'm seeing in the market right now. So how does this translate into easy CMAs? As agents, we all know what's going on in the market. Now, how many of you had a conversation over Memorial Day weekend with somebody who's not in real estate about real estate? Probably everybody. And what do they know about the market right now? If you're just going to pull your friend and ask them, what are they going to tell you? They're going to be like, oh, interest rates are high. Yeah, everything's overpriced. The market's slow. We're going into a recession. I'm seeing on the news that inventory's down, the market's down, and they really, really have no clue what is actually happening in the market. And so these are just your sphere. These are the people you're communicating. Well, you know who else thinks that about the market? Your past clients. Your past clients have no clue what's happening in the market. They have no clue what their home's worth or what how much it's appreciated since they bought. And I don't care if they bought a year ago, 2 years ago, or in my case, 6 years ago, they've all appreciated at least some. So it's important for them to understand that, so that if they are considering selling or thinking about selling, then this might be what motivates them right now. And we're seeing that all over the place. People that were not sellers, but now all of a sudden they hear about what's happening and now all of a sudden they are sellers, or at least curious about selling. So that's what's important about this process. It's educating your past clients on what's happening in the market, adding value, and just being consistent. It's really just setting up a plan and a strategy to stay in front of them, add value, be the resource of real estate for the people that you've worked with in the past that are going to be your best. They're going to be your best advocates for you in your business. So if you keep adding value, you will get value out of them. And it works. I mean, I started this it was around Thanksgiving, because when I was looking back at my emails and they started like, hey, I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. So that's kind of how I knew it started. And since then, I think I've gotten 2 listings and 2 buyers, and the buyers will become listings after they buy. And then just a couple other people just in my pipeline. And that is enough to just skyrocket your business. And if you stay consistent with it over time, it's going to get you more and more. And then it also leads to additional business through referrals and other, which we'll talk about. So here's what we're going to talk about today. What is the Easy CMA? Who's your target audience? Getting organized, which is probably the most important part of this thing, add value, and then the follow-up process. So Easy CMA, what is an Easy CMA? So it's just, we all do CMAs for clients. An Easy CMA is more of just kind of like a generic CMA. You're not going into the weeds on it as much as you would if you were going to price a home to buy or to list it. It's just a snapshot of what's happening in the market. Why is it important? It's important because of all the reasons that we talked about before. It's to educate them on what's happening in the market, on what is the average price of homes that's selling in their neighborhood or around them that's similar. What is the price per square foot? What is the days on market? What is the list to sell price ratio? That is always a really interesting one to look at too, because they say, wow, because nobody believes you that homes are selling this much over asking until you show it to them. And that's something I always do to set expectations. what is the goal? The goal ultimately is to generate business, right? But it's also to love on your clients, to keep them educated and informed, right? I mean, what we do two things, right? We want to be successful in this business, and we want to provide a service to our clients. That's really the things that we do in this job. If you can think of something else, I'm happy to hear about it. I think we talked about that this morning as well. But those are the two main things. So that really is the goal. And how does it benefit us? Well, it continues to keep us in front of our clients. It keeps us educated on the market also, because now we know the market. And this benefits you because now from doing all the CMAs that I'm doing, like I've got a really good idea of what sold, what it's sold for, and can kind of gut price homes just by looking at them. Or I can refer to other properties that have sold in the area, just top of my head. And that, when you can do stuff like that, people trust you, and people will be like, oh, this guy knows what he's talking about. Like he can spitball this information to me naturally, which is an important thing. So who are we targeting? So you could really target anyone here. And I guess it just depends what your goal are as an agent. So SOI, this would be the people that you interact with daily, friends, family, coworkers, whatever else that you'd have in your sphere. Forever clients, farm, that would be people in your general area of where you work. Open house prospects, buyers of listings, really anything. For the purpose of what my strategy was, I really focused on forever clients. I felt like that was a great resource. As I mentioned before, these are the advocates for you, and you already have a relationship with them. So it's really easy to talk with them, right? You can just call them. You should be able to just call them and have a conversation. They know who you are. It's not like a painful call from a cold call or a cold prospect. It's these people know you and they've worked with you. So get organized. So this is the most important part. And this actually took the most amount of time to actually get started. But if you put in the work here, it makes the whole rest of it a lot easier. So I like to call it my plan of attack. Who am I targeting? Okay. I said forever clients. So the first thing I did is said, okay, since I've been in St. Louis, I've sold, 240 homes, right? If I wanted to touch each of them once a year, that would mean I'd have to do 4 or 5 a week. If I wanted to hit them twice a year, then I'd have to do about 10 a week. So based on what I want to do, 1 touch, 2 touch, and I'd opted for 2, then I was going to be doing 10 a week. So just stay consistent, 10 a week. And it sounds like a lot, but if you get this dialed in, it really does not take that much time. So how many am I reaching? 10 a week. So that allows me to hit my past clients twice a year. How many am I sending? 10. So that's it. We went over this. And how often? So you could do this one of 2 ways. You could do, because it's really like a 2 to 3 day process for all this. So you could just do them all on a Monday for the week, or you could do it twice a week, something like that. You could do 5 and 5, 10 or whatever. However you want to do it, it's up to you. But for me, it just the easiest was Monday morning, come in, just hammer out 10 CMAs, send them out, and then carry on with the rest of the process throughout the week. Templates are super important here. I have an email template. I have a text template. I've got a call script. It's always the same, and it just makes it easier because it just turns into copying and pasting then at that point, and then with just like a little bit of added detail to tailor it to whoever you're doing to. So if you've got template mates, you can just cycle through them super quickly. And how my process is first is I'll go through and I'll actually do all 10 CMAs first for whoever I'm doing. Then I'll go do all my emails and texts next. And the reason I do it that way is because every week I put a folder in my Dropbox. It just has the week, right? And the 10 CMAs in there. And then I just know that because I have 10 CMAs in there, I can't stop until I've done them all. If I were to go and just do, it's just how my brain works. 1 CMA, text, email, 1 CMA, text, email. I might get to number 7 and something's happened and I'm changing gears or whatever. And I might stop at that point, and that throws it all off. If I want to stay on my goals, I have to hit 10. So I just put the 10 PDFs in the folder and I just go through all of them and I make sure I've gotten all of them done. Time blocking on this is very important. Like I said, Monday morning is to be the first thing I did. Come in, do those, send the text, and then you've got your follow-up time block for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday after that. And then just being consistent. If you want to hit your goals, you got to continue to plug through these so you make sure that, in my case, I'm hitting all of my past clients twice in a year. So talking about adding compelling value. So you're going to send your CMA to your target audience, right? And then what I like to be tailored to it. So I have my template, but then after that, I get a little nuance into it. So they know I'm being specific to them. So I'll just read to you. And if anybody wants to, I can kind of send you my templates and I can send you what I'm sending to these people. But I have one here that I've got pulled up that I can just read to you so you can understand what I'm saying in this email. So it says, dear so-and-so, I hope you had a great weekend. I wanted to reach out to give you a quick update on the value of your home. I've been hearing from a lot of past clients lately asking how the market has affected the value of their home. And so this has changed over time because originally it said even with the market shift. Well, there's no more market shift, so I had to get rid of that. And then I said, so to keep you informed, I've prepared a market analysis of your home to show you how much your home is appreciated. Although we've seen, okay, and so this is also tailored to that original one. Because this is talking about the market shift. So it says slight decrease, but I would say I'd change that now to say the market has shifted significantly since you've purchased, and home values overall have increased over the last year, and even more since you purchased in 2019. I thought you'd be interested in looking at the number. Attached is a market analysis for homes in Richmond Heights with similar square feet, one full bath, and have sold within the last 6 months. I've tried to only include 3-bedroom homes as well, but there's a 2-bedroom on Dale, basically right next door, that I thought needed to be included because the numbers on it were super helpful to you overall. So that is my nugget there. That's where it's tailored. And then it goes back into my my template. Then it goes overall, homes under these criteria sell for an average of $213 per square feet, $213 per square foot. And even better is that they've only been on the market for 12 days. So those are just X's, square foot market on that days. And 3 of the 4 sales selling in the first week. I'm not sure if you remember, but you paid $148 per square foot when you bought it. You certainly made a great investment and should be really excited about that. I hope you've enjoyed your time there as well. I hope you found this informative. I will follow up with questions that you might have and feel free to reach out to me if you need something in the meantime. Have a great day. So that is just the email. And then the email is always followed up with a text. And the same thing. It's right here. Hey, I hope you've been well. As part of my ongoing service to you, so I like to set that in there, I just sent you an email with an updated home valuation I think you'll get pretty excited about. I'll give you a call tomorrow to discuss further and answer any questions. Let me know if you need anything in the meantime. One of my things is with this or with anything is action plan. It's always action plan. It's like I never finish without telling someone what we're going to do next, when they can expect to hear from me again. And that's really important because then when they see your number, like, oh yeah, he mentioned he's going to be reaching out to me. It makes it a lot easier to answer. So then you make the call the next day and then follow up 3 more times after the first call. And if you don't hear anything for this strategy, that's it. It's basically a week. We don't really want to dig too in it, but don't forget about him. Hit them again, and just make sure you're still staying in touch with them. So here's the easy CMA dialogue. Hey, it's Matt. And you smile, okay? And it's amazing people laugh at this, but it works. Like your mannerisms, the way you're feeling, the way you present yourself on your side of the phone is going to translate to the other side of the phone. They can hear that. So I always like to smile. How are you? This is if I'm just talking with them. Following up, like I said, regarding last email I sent, have you had a chance to review it? And downswing. What do you think about how much your home is appreciated in value? This is where you have the conversation with them about that. I'm just curious, what are your plans for the next 2 to 3 years? Leaning in because you want to. That's the important part. You want to hear it. If no plans to sign, well, I'm sure you refinanced and took advantage of the rates. And then so this is the important part. So just out of curiosity, what is that crazy number that you would consider selling for? And then you just already booked the appointment. Why don't we set up a quick 15-minute strategy session to discuss what someone would be willing to pay right now and set up a plan to make your home even more appealing to a buyer? Nodding. What works better for you, mornings or afternoons? And so this is kind of the basic dialogue here. I've workshopped this somewhat and changed it here and there to work for me, because you've got to use your own voice in it too, obviously. But this is just a great get started script to kind of at least, get your feet wet. And then from there, you can kind of workshop it. If they're not ready, right? This is also the important part, because most people are going to say no. You make a lot of calls. Well, now we're adding more value. And this is where I like to add other things that we can do outside of it. Because another thing too is I always look back at things before I prep myself, and I'll look for, if I'm friends with them on Facebook, I'll see if anything's going on, check to see when a birthday is, when a home anniversary is. I'll think back, did they say they were going to change some flooring or do whatever? Be like, hey, you mentioned that you were going to do that flooring project. Did you ever get around to doing that? Oh, no. Oh, hey, we got this great guy. He'd come out with some flooring, and he works with a ton of our clients. He's very reasonable price. And be happy to set you up with them if you want. Oh, great. And, and anything else too, just let me know. We've got vendors for everything. And then I always make like an anecdote with it. I go, like I recently bought a house too. And like all of a sudden tuck pointing, here we come. So, I called 3 people. One guy's 30,000. One guy's 14,000 and one guy's 6,000. And the 6,000 guy was awesome. He like matched the mortar perfectly. Like I threw him on the list right away. And it's just like, it's people like this that we have on the list. It's like anecdotes are really important when you can relate as a homeowner to like what they're doing too. And just kind of like tell them experiences that you're having in the market. Moving truck is a great one. Hey, I don't know if you remember this, but we've got the moving truck if you need anything. We expect to hear from me. We're having our movie night in July, and I'm going to call you then. Birthdays, stuff like that. It's again, just find your little angle on how to set a follow-up plan or add some value there. So that's always the important part too, is just relating with them. What I always say is be the expert and be the resource, right? When they think of something that they need in real estate, hey, this guy had great information about the home value, but he also has all these resources. Like if anything comes up real estate, I'm going to talk to Matt. Follow up. So this doesn't necessarily work overnight, as it says here, but with consistent effort, you're going to stay on top of these people. And this year, I've sold almost the exact amount that I've sold last year. And I would say 50% or more of my business is referrals, past clients, and stuff like that. And I've definitely seen a huge uptick in this since I started making a more deliberate effort to add value and stay in front of clients. So if you just stay consistent with it, good things will happen. And then what I say here is like, I always say this too, create an action plan. Expect to hear from me on this date or about this, so that I'll repeat that a lot of times because it's just very important. Even when I show a house, I do this. So like, expect to hear from me in this. It's just how I always end it, so that they know that I'm not forgetting them and that there's an action plan. You can set them up with a market valuation drip. Also, I do that with some clients so they keep tabs on the neighborhood. I also remember when I see homes for sale in neighborhoods that I saw, that's also a great touch point. It's always like, hey, I saw this house in this neighborhood. It sold for this. I know we talked about your home value on this date, but this is just another great data point that I thought you'd be interested in. And then obviously staying in touch with them on their timeline, and then making sure you're top of mind. So this is another important part, is the sign off, right? When you're done with the call. Also, just curious if you know of anyone that could benefit from this level of service in the real estate world. And you have to ask the question, do you know of anyone? No, not right now. No worries. If you hear of someone that does, would you pass my name along? Yes, they're always going to say yes to that. Awesome. I really appreciate that. And thank you so much for your time. Always finish with this, because this is what keeps you top of mind. They're never going to think of you for referrals unless you ask them to think of you for referrals. And that's why this is the last thing. And it's always, do you know somebody that could benefit from this level of service in the real estate world? Right? And because you're telling them that you're awesome and that you're going above and beyond in service. You want them to recognize that. And so you're asking them to relay that to someone else. So when they think of you or they hear someone say, hey, this guy, Matt, he does all this extra stuff, right? And that's what we're trying to convey here, whether they know it consciously or not, you're telling them that you're doing it and they're passing it along to other people. So that is where I sign off. And do we have any questions from the audience?
How do you pick your 10?
Okay, great question.
Focus on a neighborhood. You do that.
No. How I started is I went through all my sales and I started with the oldest one, right? My first sale. And then I just chronologically went up from there, because statistically people move every 5 to 7 years. So when I start there, those are the people most likely to move right now. And then obviously, like as you work through it and get towards your new sale, time will have passed long enough from your newest sale. So like, let's say if I sell a house today, now they're added in the program. Well, I'm not touching them for 6 months, which is actually kind of a perfect touch point, right? But the oldest ones are the most likely to sell now. So start there.
10 the next. And then you said you like to touch them in that regard 2 times a year.
So just by the numbers, that's the way it works, because there's 52 weeks in a year. So I just did the math. I just, 240 divided by 52 is like 4.3 or something like. So it ended up being around 4 or 5 if I was hitting them once. So if I need to hit them twice, then I need to double that. So no, I am not in Sierra. I use the Salesforce for this mostly. Yeah. But then I've got like my own kind of Excel spreadsheet that I'm kind of like keeping track of it on too. But the other thing too, like I said before, I'm saving all the old CMAs in file folders in Dropbox, so I can reference them for when I get them again. Be like, hey, this is where we were last time. Here's your new numbers. So it's just a good reference point.
You say how listing or sold properties you use in CMA, like on average?
So it depends. So I try to keep it. I mean, ideally, it's like 8 to like 15 is like really good data, but it's not always that. I would use like sometimes it's 4 or 5, and you just have to use what you work with, and that's why like when I'm doing the CMA, I'm not doing the same criteria for everything. I'm kind of workshopping it. I do approach it the same way as I would if I was pricing a home, doing a buyer consultation, where it's like, I just need to get as much data as I want, but then I'm not going too deep into that. I'm just using broad numbers at that point.
Just sending them the CMA landscape sheet.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, are you sending like a high level or like just giving them what you believe their current value? Like, what's the difference between just popping them fellow and like telling them their whole value?
Well, you could, if you've got software that does home valuations for it, like that would be the way that I change my business now for it. It just make it a lot easier. With home valuation software where you can update that yourself, that's actually the best way to do it. But I really haven't transitioned into that yet, but that would be next.
To go to their home and actually be able to see in person the finish. And when you give just sold and you don't commit to a range, you have a better chance, I think, of hooking them into
Yeah.
current market value.
Yeah. And so that always, that as actually always comes up in the phone call, because I'll give them an average, like average price per square foot, average price for sale. On the phone, I'll be like, well, what do you think it work? Well, it really depends. I mean, you're probably in a range from here to here, but what I'd really like to do is come over, take a look, see what you've done with the place, and then I can really narrow it in.
To follow up.
So again, they're just done with this for now. Like, then they're just back to regular follow-up protocol, which would be birthdays, anniversaries, client appreciation, and then the next time it goes around. Like, if they don't want the valuation or they're not interested in talking to you right now, that's fine. But I'll just let it go and then just follow up with my normal protocol.
Yeah.
But you don't need to, like, it's just like any other lead. You're not going to go as heavy as you would on normal leads because you already have a relationship with them. Just let them be for now.
That's anyone, and that's appreciated.
Has there been anyone that is depreciated in value? The thing about CMAs is you can really make them tell whatever story you want. So I'm sure that I've run numbers and had it go down before, and then I'll just make some adjustments, some tweaks here or there to like make it tell the story that I want it to tell me.
It's the same criteria, same and used all the previous ones that you sent them.
No, no, it depends. I mean, most likely, yes. But if I get more data later on, then no, I'll use whatever tells the best story. Yes.
So many questions.
You had that 15-minute strategy session. Were you doing that? Like getting on Zoom? Doing some type of.
So most time I'm going over there and doing it. And that's what I recommend, because for a listing appointment, it's different than a buyer appointment. Like, you really have to see the house and stop by. And plus, like, when you're talking with them on the phone, it's just a good, like, touch, or it's a good dialogue to have with them to say, hey, like, it's been a while. I'd love to see what you've done with the place. And like, people are usually pretty excited about their homes too. If you've gotten that far with them in the call, like, they're usually pretty excited about it. Any other questions?
Do you have a template you
Can share to us.
Yeah, I've got several email, text templates that I can share for sure. And then, I mean, you can even look at some of the CMAs I send if you really want. And that's just like, that's just a little bit deeper look into it, because every one of those is totally different though. Like, it just depends. But I try to tailor it as well as possible to each person.
Up to 10, like I feel like 10 easy CMAs are gonna take me like more than a hours on a Monday morning, like.
So I wouldn't get overboard with it. Tailor it, but let's not get into the weeds. Like, really running 10 searches, that is the longest part though, is actually doing the CMAs. Like, there's a lot of front end work on this. And then after that, it's super easy. Right. So just getting the CMAs done, that definitely is. But like, I don't know, I would get 10 done in like an hour.
like that? Being prepared, knowing who you're sending them to ahead of the day. So we do Monday Mayhem, make your list of your 10 Sunday.
On Sunday.
And that way on Monday, you're devoted to that time block.
Yeah.
You're seeing 10. And then all you're doing is templated emails already have.
Right. And for the way I do it, like, I don't even need to do that on Sunday, because I've already did that when I first started. It's like,
Right.
I've already just got the whole list that is just cycling.
He fills in historical data, like when you purchased, you were.
Yeah.
You could do something a little different where it's just more personalized. Like, I thought you might find it interesting to know.
Yeah.
So, but I think it's really important to have who your target is, and that way you're very focused and like laser focused on that target.
For sure. Just be very organized.
Yes.
Yeah.
It breaks it.
Yeah.
Pieces. Too, which I like. Just
You're right.
like 10 more each.
And you don't have to do 10.
Well,
right?
yeah.
Like you got, like you might do 5 and that's totally fine. Yeah, right. I mean, yeah, for sure. I mean, like I've got, the reason I'm doing 10 is because I've got the past clients that's what it's required to do right now.
So for newer agents, would you suggest like SOI?
Yeah. SOI, or just, if you've met people at open houses, you could really do anyone. Yeah, farming.
Now for the next week is what I think.
Or for us, if you have a voice cat house that you really loved, then just do.
Take them on door knocks.
Or if I was wondering, you might be interested in what your home value is. Now we just made a new high common neighborhood. New high water mark in your neighborhood. So, but I'd really love to be able to give you a detail if I can come in and take a look around.
Exactly.
So then just to clarify, you're emailing the CMA, following up with the text that says, I'll call you tomorrow. You're calling tomorrow, and then you're following up 3 more times after that initial call.
Yeah.
At least 3 more times. Is that all by call or are you texting or are you?
Call and text, but mostly call. Yes. But you you'll usually get something. Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people like aren't really, that find it curious, but like they're not like that, they're not that engaged. Like you're not gonna get into that full appointment conversation with them. So.
Oh, hold on. Seth says, when you're making a CMA, tell the story you want it to, which may be higher than reality. How do you explain that in a future conversation if they're wanting to actually live?
So I'm using that same CMA, right? That's what I'm listing for, because when I'm listing a home, I'm telling the same story, right? Like I'm telling the same story to the market that I'm telling to the client. And when I'm writing a contract, I'm telling a different story to that seller, right? Or when I'm writing a contract in competitive situations and the buyer needs to know what they need to do, I'm making a CMA that tells that story too.
Right.
And that's how you get someone to write a good contract.
Well, I get,
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you all for participating today. I'll send out some templates, and if anyone wants to like workshop something or talk about different strategies, different text dialogues and stuff, that's something I have fun with. We get a lot of scripts. I always love playing with them. So if you want to workshop some stuff with me, I'm happy to help.
awesome.
Thanks, Matt.
All right. Take care, y'all.
Two.
Yeah.
Like,